on YouTube? Welcome to the EJ2 Track Rat YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about a budget shift light solution for your race car. So last year at Watkins Glen, I was driving my friend's Anthony H2 Honda Civic hatch. He has a big tachometer in his car with a bullet shift light. I never thought I'd find something like that useful. I always told myself I would just use my ears to hear when the car needed to shift. But as I was going up to S's in an unfamiliar car, I realized that it might actually be useful to have something to remind me to shift into gear, especially because I find myself bouncing off the limiter between gear 4 and 5 a lot of the time. So I started looking for shift lights, and the first shift lights that I found were similar to Anthony's. They all had tachometers and they had a bullet style light on them to light up to let you know when to shift. The problem with those lights was they were all kind of expensive. You know, I think $100 was the floor on a lot of those lights, and I really wasn't looking to spend a lot of money, and I also didn't need an external tachometer. The 93 Civic Dash that I have already has a tachometer built into it, so all I really needed was a shift light to remind you when to shift. So I started looking, I went on eBay, and I started looking through the cheapest shift lights that they had. I found out that they do make $20 shift lights on eBay, but through my own research I found out that they're highly inaccurate. They're not reliable, they're not repeatable, and so for $20 I figured it probably wasn't worth it, especially if it wasn't going to do anything. What I did find, however, was GlowShift, a company that makes relatively cheap gauges for race cars and for street cars that are modified, and the GlowShift light was around $40, and it was just the light on its own. You could pick whatever color you wanted. I chose red, and it was adjustable too, so all you had to do was turn a dial on the back of it and it would light up when you needed to shift. So I installed that in my Civic, and this video is going to show you the install, and it's going to show you how well it worked, and I'm going to give you guys a quick review or whether or not I think it was worthwhile installing, so stay tuned.
Retro.
Comes in this box, as you can see, and it's just a little cylinder. You have a mount here. It's not super sturdy, but whatever. It doesn't feel super expensive. It's not very heavy or solid feeling, but you know, it is a very cheap shift light. This was about $37 shipped. This is the light here, and then on the back you have a potentiometer that allows you to adjust your RPMs. And then you have these wires that you have to cut if you have a 4-cylinder or a 6-cylinder. If you have an 8-cylinder, I believe you leave them both intact, but then other than that you have a black wire, a red wire, and a green wire. So that's your ground, your power, and your signal, respectively. So you wire the green wire off of your distributor or off of the back of your dash, and then the red wire you just wire someplace with power. Black wire you just wire to a clean ground point on your chassis. So I'm gonna get this wired up, and then I'll give you guys my honest opinion. So we're in the garage, and the Civic is up on jack stands. I'm currently in the process of dropping the transmission because I ran it with no fluid. I'm basically gonna pick out a point where, you know, whatever you want to call it, where we can get this light, this shift light, to light up. Contemplating mounting it up here, maybe, but I don't like how it's really close to the cutoff, or I can mount it here. Alright, so on this little tack we have 2 wires. One of the first things that we need to do is cut the wires according to the directions. So you can see if you have a 4-cylinder, it says clip the brown and orange wires right here, and then just tape them off so that you know, they don't short the ground or whatever, apparently. This piece of the dash removed, bezel, and we got the tachometer out. So I'm probably gonna give this a nice clean because it's a little dirty, but then we have to figure out how we're gonna splice into this wire to get the signal to that little guy. It's pretty sturdy. You know, it's probably gonna vibrate a little bit, in which case I'll just, you know, tape it like I do with literally everything else in my car. Alright, so I found a pinout on Honda Tech. You gotta love the old forums. You can see I have the tack right there, and then the wiring is just gonna tuck under here, and I'm gonna have a little black wire so it's less conspicuous, and then it's just gonna plug in right there. I have the power wires, the red and the black, running to a panel behind there, like a little pinout terminal thing, and then the green wire, the signal, goes into the green wire on the plug that goes to the. To do that, I had to depin one of these connectors, and then solder the green wire to the blue wire. So now we're gonna put the connector back together, put the dash back together, and hopefully we can test it. If not, then we're gonna have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, the car has no oil pan, so not starting without oil. But yeah. All right, so I had to use some heat shrink, and then basically was able to get this wire tucked into this bezel. But this is this is the view from the cockpit, and then this will go off whenever I need to shift. And right now there's nothing attached. I forgot, so that's the problem. So as you guys may have noticed, that video was filmed quite some time ago. In 2020, life happened and I decided to focus on some other things, and I had some mechanical issues that were preventing me from getting the car back together, so I decided to focus on other stuff for 2020. So for 2021, I was able to get the car out in March, late March, thanks to NASA Northeast, instructing at their season opener at New Jersey Motorsports Park Lightning Course. And I'd like to say that, yes, the car did very well, and I'm very happy with the car, and yes, I was able to maintain my cool for the first event of the season, despite having a couple of lawn mowing events. But more importantly, the GlowShift Shift Light did its job. Overall, I'd give the GlowShift Shift Light a B+, and I would recommend people buy it. The reasons that it's a good thing to buy: one, it's cheap. That's a retail price. I didn't have any promotion codes. No one paid me to do this review. I normally get all of my gauges and stuff for free or out of the trash from friends who are literally throwing parts away. $37 is a pretty good deal. Additionally, I can't really tell you about the accuracy of the gauge, and really it's not that important because as long as the repeatability of the gauge is correct, it gives the driver a good reference point for when to shift. And I can say that the gauge was very repeatable. Every single time I crested the hill onto the front straight at New Jersey Motorsports Park Lightning from 4th to 5th gear, that light illuminated, and then it started flashing because it was illuminated for too long. As soon as it started flashing, I knew I needed to shift to 5th gear, and I never bounced off the rev limiter. It's exactly what I was hoping for. As far as cons and why it's not an A+, I'd say that the mounting mechanism is probably the biggest deficiency of this item. The way that the bracket is set up on the shift light is horrible. The bracket probably is shaped sort of like an L in ways, or a U, a sideways U, I guess. And you mount the shift light to the bracket, okay, and then let's say my finger is the shift light. Well, the bracket comes down like this, and then you have to screw the bracket into the dash. So the bracket's sitting like this, you have to screw it into the dash, but then you have to screw the shift light to the bracket. So you have to get the screwdriver, like if the shift light's like this, you have to get the screwdriver like this and then like that to install it. It doesn't make any sense. It's also pretty flimsy, but it's a $37 shift light and it's reliable and repeatable. I don't really see a downfall to it. Either way, I appreciate you guys coming to my channel, as always. If you didn't like this video, give it a thumbs down. I can take criticism, just leave a comment as long as it's constructive. If you did like the video, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to me, hit me up. If you need advice, I can help you out. And if you want, follow my Instagram. I post funny stuff there. I'm usually talking about how ratchet my car is. YouTube channel's a little bit more scientific, but Instagram's a little bit more free flow, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, again, thanks guys for watching EJ2 Track Rat, and I can't hit the camera like just take it easy. Take care.